All right, I guess I've been introducing everyone else today, but I'm going to introduce myself. I also have a co-presenter with me. I'll bring him up on stage. This is the Confluence State of the Union, and thanks for joining us today. My name is Bill Arcanati, and I'm the Product Marketing Manager for Confluence.
And I'm Sharif Mansour, Product Manager for Confluence as well.
And so we're going to take the next 45 minutes before the break to walk you through all things that are happening in the world of Confluence. And let me see if my, can you forward the slide? So it's incredible to believe that a year has already passed. It seems like just yesterday we were at Summit 2009 talking about Confluence 3.0. And you know, while that just seems like yesterday, it's a lot has happened since then. We've introduced a whole lot of new features. We've introduced a whole bunch of new plugins, or our partners have introduced a whole bunch of new plugins, many of which you saw today at the Launchpad. And we've added a whole lot of new customers to the family, and we're gonna talk about all of these things and more today. By way of agenda, we're going to talk about 4 kind of unique sections. First of all, we're just going to cover very quickly what is Confluence and how do we think of it at Atlassian. We'll talk about where we are today with the business and the ecosystem. And then we'll dive a little more deeply into what we've been up to in terms of releases and in terms of features. And then I think the part that's probably most interesting to you is we're going to talk about our roadmap and where we plan to be going in the future. And that's Mr. Product Manager's domain right there. So first of all, what is Confluence? I think everybody in the room is using it for so many different things, and it's useful for many things. When you saw Mike present in the general session this morning, one way that we look at it within Atlassian is through the lens of the concept to launch cycle. So Confluence is great for the concept stage, for doing brainstorming, for writing requirements, for getting feedback on those requirements, like you saw Matt just present in the session before this. Once those requirements become more detailed, you're writing technical specifications. Throughout the whole process, you are reporting on that project status to your management team. And then finally, at the end, you'll be doing launch planning, maybe getting your marketing guy involved, and writing up the documentation for your release. And while we see Confluence initially kind of adopted by technical teams, people say, hey, this thing's pretty useful. So it becomes much more important throughout the rest of the enterprise. And they start to use it for things like intranets or general knowledge management and capturing, creating collaborative team spaces, trying to reduce the amount of email that you have in your inbox, collaborating on documents and sharing Office files. And even some folks use it to put a full-fledged wiki inside of SharePoint. So Confluence is useful for a whole boatload of things, and we're trying to build it to make it useful for all those as well. So let's just talk about where we are today, and Sharif's going to walk us through that.
So one thing I've been amazed since being here at Atlassian is how big the Confluence family is. And when we added up the numbers, we came up to 25,000 customers, and we're pretty blown away about that. And that kind of breaks down to over 9,000 academic and commercial customers. Over 1,500 open source and community licenses. These are the ones we give away for free and give back to the community. And just this year, you saw at the keynote, we announced the starter licenses for $10. And we've seen over 14,000 teams take us up on that offer. And I've been really excited today to meet some of you guys who are using the starter licenses in small teams of 10 people or less collaborating using Confluence. But it just hasn't been the Confluence family that's been growing. It's also been the plugin ecosystem. And we've been blown away by Confluence's growth in this area. I don't know if you saw the graph in this morning's keynote, but Confluence continues to lead all of Atlassian's products as the #1 tool with the most plugins on Atlassian's plugin exchange. And we are really excited about this, and I hope you guys are too, because the one thing we're getting back from you, some feedback from you guys, is that you really like the plugin ecosystem, and it helps you solve your day-to-day problems, and it helps you dive deeper into the different specialties of how you use Confluence. So let's have a look at some of those plugins, and you may have met some of these guys upstairs. If you haven't, I strongly recommend it. I've certainly learnt about a whole lot of new plugins today. So a whole bunch of new plugins this year. We saw TaskDoc come out with tasks in Confluence. We saw Scroll Wiki Exporter for getting your content out of Confluence into various formats. We saw iPhone apps such as Mini Confluence. Refined Wiki have done some beautiful internet themes and got some really exciting stuff to show you today. David Simpson's Google Analytics plugin, and a whole lot of other new plugins available in the plugin exchange. And every year, Atlassian holds Codegeist. It's essentially a competition for the geeks and the developers and our partners to build plugins and open source them for the community. So we saw some really exciting plugins out of that. A couple I want to highlight to you. The Customware Archive Space plugin lets you archive a whole space when you're managing a large instance. It's quite helpful. And one of my favorite ones, the page history slider, lets you slide across and view page history, and you can kind of play it back step at a time to see what was changed when. But also some of our bigger plugin partners have done some really big strides in each of their products. Balsamiq launched the ability to link between mockups. Gliffy, you saw their awesome, super creative announcement this morning. Ad hoc workflows. Adaptivist Theme Builder. Many of you tell us that you like to customize the look and feel of Confluence, as well as Customware Salesforce connector, as we saw some examples of that this morning as well. So it's kind of amazing, when I reflect back on the last year, I'm kind of amazed that it's already been a year. And we look at the releases we've done in the last year, and we've had 3 major releases. We had Confluence 3.1 in December of last year. In March this year, we had Confluence 3.2. And as of today, we're happy to announce Confluence 3.3 is in beta. And some of the feedback we get from you guys is, how come you're releasing so frequently? And Matt alluded to this earlier. It's essentially a great vehicle for us to get your feedback of the products and feed it back into the product lifecycle and the product roadmaps. So the earlier we get the product out to you, the early adopters try out our software, and you give us a whole ton of feedback. And we just want to take a moment to say thanks for that. And we've been really appreciative of that feedback. So over the last year, we've put over 310 of your feature requests, enhancements, straight back into the products. And that equates to almost 500 votes. We're trying to work out the number of votes per day, and it's like 1 point something. Which is kind of pretty exciting. We're really excited about that. So please keep up your feedback on our online issue trackers, emailing us directly, customer interviews, or the user task force, and other various things like that. Bill's now going to start taking us through what we've been up to.
Awesome. I'll let you stay at the podium. So Sharif just talked about the release momentum that we've had and all the customer issues that we've been working to solve. Let's now take a deeper dive into specifically what's been inside of each one of these Confluence releases. The first category you can think of is general improvements, just making the product better and taking your feedback and putting it into the product. And over the past few releases, we've had a number of notable improvements. In Confluence 3.1, we added Office 2007 support. If you recall, the Office connector allows you to embed documents into pages or view Office documents or even edit a page in Word. And in 3.1, we added support for Office 2007. So all the .docx files are all supported in Confluence 3.1. And that's also going to work with Office 2010. We also added a number of improvements, page draft comparisons, and a revised restrictions dialog to make it more intuitive to manage the permissions on your wiki pages. In Confluence 3.2, we added bundled page templates, so more page templates out of the box. We added a nice little feature called image in search results. So when you get images back in your search results, you see them right there on the page. You don't actually have to click to open the attachment. And another one that I know is a favorite from our documentation theme documentation team is the move and reorder pages. So now you can decide where in the page hierarchy your page goes when you move it. And it's a big time saver for our tech docs folks. And as Sharif mentioned, Confluence 3.3 is available in beta form today and will be generally available later on this month. And there are a number of general improvements to that as well. We improved the blog layout, so it's easier to kind of scan through your blogs and see what's been written. As Matt alluded to in his presentation, stealing a little bit of my thunder, Matt, is the ability to subscribe to blog posts and to your network. So now you'll get an email notification, if you want, for any activity within the people that you follow, which is really handy. We added CAPTCHA at logins for some security improvements. And another one that's going to be really good for your adoption and a highly voted, highly requested feature is the ability to manage watchers on a page. So now if you're a space admin, you can say, I want Sharif to watch this to receive notifications anytime this page changes. So it's going to really help with your adoption. And it's not just the Confluence core that we've been working on. We also, just today, you might not have seen our blog post because you're so busy here at Summit, that we launched the SharePoint Connector version 1.2 today. And that's going to provide SharePoint 2010 support. So now you can do all the things that you used to be able to do with 2007, like embed SharePoint lists into your wiki pages and embed wiki pages into your SharePoint site, have single search, and SSO between the two. We've also added some things like NTLM v2 and Kerberos support and the ability to connect to multiple Active Directory domains. So that's available today. If you're a SharePoint Connector customer already, you can upgrade for free. Before we go on, can I take just a quick poll to see how many people in the room have both Confluence and Jira? Okay, wow. Okay, that's way more than I expected. That's like 80%. Actually, our customer base maybe doesn't have that much overlap, but it's most people who own Confluence also own Jira. And a lot of the feedback that we hear is we want the two to work together much better. Confluence is great for some of that brainstorming and that kind of ad hoc collaboration and conversations that happen. And Jira is really good for the more structured project management and tracking tasks throughout a process, and you want to be able to connect those two to have kind of a single view across all of those. So we've done some work to integrate these even better. The first example is with open social gadgets that we introduced with Confluence 3.1. So I can use Confluence as kind of my reporting page. That's where my management team goes. They don't go into Jira. They just want to see it within a wiki page. And now I can report on Jira activity within Confluence. So let's take a look at that. So this is a Confluence page, and I want to add two reports here, the Jira activity stream and my Jira status. I'm going to edit the page and select where I want to put that. And when I launch the macro browser, I can browse for these gadgets amongst all my macros here. Choose the activity stream and set some parameters like a name. Preview that, and it looks pretty good, so I'll go ahead and insert. And I also want to add a nice pie chart because managers love pie charts. So I'll search for that in the macro browser. There's the Jira gadget, and again, I just set a couple of quick parameters. You can see autocomplete in there, so it's very easy to do. That looks good. I'll go ahead and insert that. That'll make the boss happy. And now when I preview the page, I have live data from Jira reporting on my project status inside my wiki page, and it's all integrated just like it were a macro. So very simple, but really useful. Just like you can embed Jira gadgets into Confluence, 3.1 we also made it possible to take content from Confluence and put it in your Jira dashboard. So your developers live in Jira. They don't want to keep context switching between the two applications. So we've made that a little bit easier for them. You can see on this screenshot, we have the Confluence activity stream on the left. So that's all the activity that's happening in a particular Confluence space. And then on the right side, say your developers want to search for a specific spec or search your Confluence knowledge base, they can just do that from the Jira dashboard using the quick navigation gadget that's available in Confluence 3.1. So all that stuff is available today. In 3.3, which is beta today, we've taken that a step further to integrate the two more tightly. Now you can take an entire Confluence page and put that inside of Jira. We got our animations a little messed up. No worries. But that's probably my fault. I think I did that. But now, you say you have a specification that you wrote up in Confluence, you can put that whole page inside of Jira. Let's take a look at how that works. Here's the page gadget, and I can edit that from Jira. It'll take me into Confluence. I'm not going to save it. But here's the page inside of Jira. You can see I have some macros inside of that page. I can expand the recently updated to see more, so all the clicking works as you would expect it to work. I have a content by label macro in there. I even have an attachments macro, so I can embed those documents right in there. Let's actually set up a page here. Search for the space and the particular page I want to embed into the Jira gadget, and set the refresh interval. And when I save that, I think you saw that this morning, I have a Confluence page with a PowerPoint presentation embedded inside of it. So we like to think of this as taking all the the wiki the wiki macros and all the Office connector and all the functionality you get inside of Confluence, and being able to just put that inside of Jira. And it's really, really cool.
So Bill's been sharing with you some of the general improvements we've done over the last year, as well as the Jira integration work that we've done. But what's been our primary focus? As Mike mentioned this morning, we've been spending a lot of our time improving the editing experience in Confluence. So that's been the number one bit of feedback we hear from you guys. As we sit down in customer interviews, look at your issues on our issue tracker online, you attend the user task force and participate in our surveys, you always tell us we need to make the editing experience better. So when we drill down to that and we sit down with you guys, you've kind of given us a nice categorization of what you'd like to do with a new editor. The first thing you've told us is that you want the editing experience to be fast. You want to be able to do more within the editor in less time. Most of you here are knowledge workers and you spend a lot of your time day to day in the wiki. So being productive and fast in Confluence saves you a lot of time and allows you to get the job that you need to do to get done. The second thing you told us you want the editor to do is to be simple. You want it easy for new users to land into your organization and know how to participate in your Confluence wiki. It's been interesting hearing the talks that just happened today, and one of the challenges you all face is wiki adoption. So you want it to be easier for users to come into your organization, know how to use Confluence off the bat. Is that an American, can I say, off the bat? Yeah, okay, cool. Just checking. And the third thing you've told us you'd love the Confluence experience to be is to be richer. As you use the wiki more and more, you want to do some more dynamic things in it with macros, images, videos, and PowerPoint presentations. You want your wiki pages to be more attractive, and that helps a lot with your wiki adoption. So we're going to just reflect back over the last year and look at how we've tried to address each of these sections. The first thing we've introduced in Confluence 3.2, which is my favorite as well, I think everyone said it's their favorite today, I just think it's super cool, is autocomplete for links. I just want to pause for a moment and think about what you have to do when you link to a page in Confluence. So the first thing you do is you find the page you want to link to, and you might copy the link or browse for it or whatever. And the second thing you have to do is actually link that page in your Confluence context. So while you're editing, you have to create a link, right? What autocomplete allows you to do is do both those actions without interrupting the flow of your data entry. And we're really excited about this, and we've seen some super fast pages be created with this. So I want to show you an example of this. Over here I've got my Confluence page, and I'm just going to start typing some stuff. Now as I type, I can hit the autocomplete for links key, which is the square bracket, and I'm recently presented with my recently viewed pages. Confluence suggests that to me initially, and I can keep drilling down or search my whole wiki by continuing to type. I know my page has the words lab week in it in the title somewhere, so I type, yep, there's the page that I've got. I key press down and I hit enter. Notice I haven't used the mouse, I haven't had to interrupt my flow of typing. It's just been pretty natural flow of progression. But what if I've already typed the word and I kind of want to link that? I don't want to kind of have to move my mouse and, I want to be a bit more productive. So I type the word. In this case, I'm going to type the word autocomplete. And I want to autocomplete the word autocomplete, just to confuse you guys, right? So I hit the keyboard shortcut for that, which is Control-Shift-K, which doesn't fit on the screen, but anyway. And autocomplete suggests the links for the word that I've just typed. So I still haven't left my keyboard experience. Key press down and hit enter. And I've linked to the page that I want to link to. Pretty awesome, eh? What? Oh, that's pretty exciting. Jeez, tough crowd. So I guess we primarily built this feature with speed in mind. You've told us you want to be faster in the editor, and this is why we introduced this feature. So we took autocomplete further, and we didn't just do it with links, we also did it with attachments. We want to insert content attached to your wiki pages faster. So over here I've got a page, and I've got a whole stash of attachments on the page. Images, PowerPoints, Excel files. In this case, I want to attach a PowerPoint presentation onto my page. So I hit the exclamation mark. I can now search, and it'll search my whole wiki, or key press down and find the attachments on this page. In this case, I want to put a PowerPoint presentation into the page. Key press down and hit enter. Confluence is smart enough to know that I've selected a PowerPoint and inserts the appropriate macro for me. Now, if I inserted an image, it'll be smart enough and say that's an image, and it'll embed the image straight into the page. Pretty cool? Awesome. So the third thing we did is we took autocomplete even further in Confluence 3.3. There's this running joke in the Confluence team is like, how cool would it be if Confluence could just autocomplete your pages? Then you wouldn't have to do any work. We didn't do that. But what we did do is autocomplete for macros. So we made embedding macros into your Confluence pages a whole lot faster. So this is available today in the beta. We'd love for you guys to try it and give us some feedback. I'll show you an example of this. It's made discovering macros a whole lot easier and inserting them a whole lot faster. So I want to do some related content using the content by label macro. So I'm going to start typing here, and I hit the brace key, and I'm presented with my favorite macros, and I can start to type here, and this searches all of my macros. So I don't have to know the macro title or the macro name. I can also search for the macro description. Yep, content by label, that's what I want. Key press down and hit enter. I then proceed to fill out the rest of the parameters in the macro browser as you normally would. So I want to find content with label whatever it is, specify some page number of results, preview that, and hit enter. So once again, I haven't left my editing experience, and it's simple, fast, and easy to use. We've really found this to be a pretty exciting feature to use, and it encourages users to insert more macros onto your pages. So what else have we done in this area? So well, we introduced in Confluence 3.1, we introduced macro browser smart fields. We wanted to make it easier for your users to use macros in your pages. So how have we done this? I'll show you an example of this. Smart fields essentially leverage off the same autocomplete technology. In the macro browser, I can search, and it suggests pages for me. And this, I'm going to select a page here, and I'm presented with the attachments on that page automatically. So I don't have to manually find them and insert them. So I'm going to embed a PDF attached on a page here using the smart fields. Preview that. Yep, that's the PowerPoint, the PDF I want to insert on my page, and insert that. So we found macro browser smart fields to help increase the simplicity and the speed of using the wiki markup browser. One thing that really excites the Confluence team, because nerds kind of like keyboard shortcuts, is keyboard shortcuts. And it's been really exciting for me because I've started to learn how to use keyboard shortcuts in Confluence and found how much time it can really save me. So let's look at an example of the keyboard shortcuts we introduced in Confluence 3.2. Show you how easy it is to create some pages. I've got my project status meeting here. And I want to put a list of attendees for the meeting. So I'm going to start typing my name. Oh, wait, let's use autocomplete, the feature I showed you earlier, to autocomplete my name so it can link straight to my personal profile. I'm just going to autocomplete my name, Sharif, yep, that last time I checked, that looks like me. Key press down and hit enter. I'm also going to invite Bill because he seems like a pretty nice guy. So let's invite Bill as well, autocomplete him. And Audra, she's my manager and she pays my bills, so I should really invite her. Now I'm going to put some headings. I can control 1, control 2, whatever, for different heading styles. You can see the keyboard shortcuts there on the right. A numbered list and a link to a blog post that we're going to talk about. And now I'm going to fix up my agenda. I've noticed at the bottom here, I've got myself, Bill, and Audra talking about things. And Audra is introducing the meeting, but she's at the bottom. So I'm going to swap the order around. I'm going to use some keyboard shortcuts for that. Move up to the top of the page and paste it. Pretty fast, making it super fast and super easy for advanced users to manipulate content within Confluence. Bill, you want to talk about some other things?
I always thought a brace was called a curly bracket, so I didn't realize I was going to learn something up here. So Sharif talked about a lot of the power user features, and we've also done some things to make the editing experience within Confluence easier for your new users. And one way we did that was just by redesigning the link browser. How many people are running an older version of Confluence and have something that looked like that older link? Okay, well, hopefully we can get you to upgrade soon because the new link browser is much more intuitive. It has autocomplete search, so you can just search for the page you want to link to and insert the link, or you can have some more options on the left-hand side, include inserting a web link. So it's much more intuitive, much simpler for your new users. Once you've added that link to your page, you might want to edit that link. And in Confluence 3.3, we've added the concept of property panels. Let's take a look at how that works. I have a link already in my page, and once I click on it, I'll get a little property panel here. I can see what that link is, and I can go to the location if I want. I can edit that link and launch that new link browser that you just saw to edit that, or I can just go ahead and click unlink to get rid of the link entirely, all within the rich text editor, very quickly and simple for your new users and for you. One thing we added in Confluence 3.1 that I think brings speed and simplicity and even richness to the editing experience is drag and drop attachments. Drag and drop attachments basically let Confluence act like almost like a desktop app. You can bulk upload a bunch of files from your desktop, or you can just drop an image or an attachment directly into the page while you're editing. So let's see what that looks like. Go ahead and edit the page, and say this is a project overview page, and there's just a PowerPoint presentation that I want to add that kind of kicks off the project. All I have to do is select where I want to add that PowerPoint, pull up my, my desktop here, and literally drag that PowerPoint file to where I want it. You'll see it uploaded in Confluence, and automatically add the macro that it needs in order to present that PowerPoint directly inside the page. So when I preview it, you can see that right in there. So it makes it fast, simple, and brings Confluence that kind of richness that you might expect only from a desktop application. And we've also added a new image browser. So you can see here, you want to add images to your pages, make them prettier, make them more engaging. So the new image browser is going to let you drag images onto there, and then you can actually preview the images before you insert them into the page and set them up as a thumbnail or add the border. And this is available in Confluence 3.2, I believe. 3.1. Okay, I get the two confused. And that's going to add simplicity and richness. And once you've added that image to your page, in Confluence 3.3, we've added property panels for images to allow you to edit those image properties. So let's take a look at how that works. I have this Confluence logo in here. It's way too big. So I just want to I want to change the size, first of all, and you'll see the property panel there down at the bottom. And I'll make it small. Oh, that's a little too small. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Getting better, and let's make it bigger. So you can see it's really easy and intuitive and quick. And I'll remove the border as well. That's editing content in your page, and you work really hard to make your content rich and make it pretty. But none of that matters if it's surrounded by an ugly theme. And that's why we've, in Confluence 3.2, introduced two what we think are beautiful themes. First of all, the documentation theme, which is a great way to display your technical documentation, but it's also good for just an intranet page or for your knowledge base. On the left-hand side, you see a customizable page tree, and you can search within that space, and this is all customizable. You might have seen in Nick's presentation earlier, he had a different looking documentation theme that was really nice. You can also customize the headers and footers here as well. So our documentation folks love this, and if you go to the Confluence documentation, you'll see this very theme. We also introduced the Easy Reader theme. Our engineers kind of got tired of feeling like they were watching a tennis match by reading from left to right on their huge 30-inch monitors or whatever they have. So they introduced a fixed width layout so that the content's right there in front of you, and it delivers what it promises, which is it's an easy reader. And this is great for your personal space or for an intranet space as well. So those are all the things that we've done up until Confluence 3.3 to make your editing experience faster, simpler, and as rich as possible.
So let's pause for a moment and reflect back on the last 12 months and how the editor's evolved. So the last 3 releases we've shown you a whole stack of features of editor improvements that try and simplify, speed up, and make your editing experience a whole lot richer. And the current release, I'm really excited about extending autocomplete even further and the introduction of property panels, allowing you to manipulate and adjust attributes of your content in your page without leaving your editor. So Mike let the cat out of the bag this morning, and we're going to take a dive into the future and look at the new editor. So we are spending a lot of time in the Confluence team revamping the Confluence editing experience. We're announcing a complete new editor backend, so the whole infrastructure backend stuff is being changed, as well as redesigning the user experience of the editor. This is going to give us a whole lot more of increased stability, and it's going to set us up to deliver on some of the high demand features you've asked for. Things like positional editing and sectional editing. We're really excited about this, as it's going to contain all the build-up of the editing features you've already seen and we've presented to you today. It's going to have a completely new interface, and well, I'm not going to bother going through the rest. I'm just going to go straight to the editor, because some of you want to see...
Get to the demo, man.
See the demo. All right, so here's the new editor demo. It's a bit extended from what you saw this morning with a couple of new features. It's currently still in alpha stages, but we look forward to getting your feedback on a lot of these features. Let's have a look at it. So as Mike highlighted this morning, we make the most of the screen width and the screen height. Horizontally and vertically, we try to maximize the space. As we scroll down into the page, look what happens to the page. It's actually going behind the editor toolbar. Now let's take a closer look at that because I want you to see what's actually going on here. You'll notice that the editor toolbar remains as is. So you always can edit from wherever you are, whether it be at the bottom of the page or the top. You couldn't do this before. You always had to scroll back to the top. Pretty cool? Scroll back down. Something you all seem very excited about is some of the new table features we've got. So this is just one of quite a few new ones that's available to demo to you guys at the moment. You can merge table cells horizontally. You missed the keynote, didn't you? And vertically as well, which is pretty cool, right? We've got a whole lot more coming with this as well. And I just want to show you, we also did some minor enhancements to the table dialog, and we've got a whole lot more which we didn't have quite ready, but we'll show you what we've got already. So the insert table dialog's been changed a bit with a couple of new options. The first option is you can now specify the table width to either take the full width of the page or just size to fit your content, and specify the column headings and some additional parameters. Inserting tables into Confluence just got a lot nicer. Macro placeholders, you saw that this morning, a visual way of representing macros on a page. The really exciting thing about macro placeholders is you can drag and drop the macros around on your body page. So you can swap some of the order around. Think about how you used to do this previously. You'd have to cut some text and paste it, and you can drag them all across the page. So I'm just going to insert another macro here, a really popular macro, the table of contents. I used macro autocomplete. You'll notice a feature which is available in 3.3. Fill out some parameters, insert into my page, and I've got my macro. I want to move my table of contents into a page, so I drag it up and move it to the page. Pretty cool? Yeah. Awesome. So what about the bigger macros? What about macros where we have to specify some bodies? I want to show you a really cool example of one of my favorite macros, the task list macro, lightweight task management in Confluence. So I use macro autocomplete here, and I'm presented with a task list. I'm just going to fill out the title of the macro. I'm going to put some tasks in. Look how easy it is to put some tasks into this thing. I just put lines of tasks, that's all. Project plan, marketing plan, and I'm a product manager and I like writing specs, so let's put specs in there as well. And let's take a look at what this looks like. Pretty cool? Yeah. Making macros a whole lot easier to use. Now look at the right bottom corner of the screen. Look what's happening here. Confluence 3.2, we introduced some editor hints. You can now scroll through these editor hints to discover some new features about the editor. You can also collapse it. And we're doing more and more of these personalization features on the editor so you can have a better editing experience. What about the small little sweet things that you've requested from us? Simple things like paragraph alignment. I'm going to highlight text and image, right align as well as center align. You had to do this in macros previously. As well as paragraph indentation, not just indenting one level deep, which you could do with the old editor. With the new editor, you can go as deep as you like. Just don't break your Confluence pages. And the other thing I want to call out for you guys is the ability for users to save their own drafts. So if I'm editing my Confluence page and I haven't finished it, I can force a save draft. Now, Confluence automatically does this for me every now and then. But if I want to close off my editor and just leave my draft as it is, I can hit it. And we've empowered the user to save the draft at any time that they want. So those are some of the things we've been working on. As we build this editor, we're primarily focusing on these three principles: speed, ease of use, and richness. Really excited about this, and we'll talk about how you can help us out with this new editor a bit later.
Great. And as Sharif mentioned, the editing experience is our primary focus over the next couple releases, but it's not our only focus. Probably a lot of folks in the room here are Confluence and Jira administrators and say, well, that's great for end users, but what's in it for me? So one feature that we hear a lot is we want improved LDAP management and support within Confluence, and that's something we're going to deliver in the next release or two. With that, we're going to provide a web-based admin UI, so you can set up your LDAP just from directly inside the Confluence GUI. We'll support nested LDAP groups, which we know a lot of you have been asking for, and also just some general LDAP performance and caching improvements that are just going to make the integration a lot nicer. As Mike showed this morning, or no, Scott, I'm sorry, Scott showed this morning, we'll also be bundling the new Universal Plugin Manager, which for, I think, Confluence users, you've had a decent plugin management experience thus far, but this is going to help you when you're upgrading and planning your upgrading to see what plugins you have that will allow you or prevent you from upgrading to the next release of Confluence. So that's going to make your lives easier. And then we also are focused on Jira integration as well. So adding better cross-product linking so that you can kind of track from going from your Confluence requirements into your Jira issues and kind of having a very seamless link between those is something that we're working on as well. And you'll be seeing some more about that probably later on tomorrow in what we're doing around that use case. With that, Sharif has some ways that you can help us.
So I've been in this job for 5 months now, and one thing I've been blown away is the passion that you guys have for Confluence. It's really exciting to work with customers that are passionate, to give you feedback, and want to really help you improve the product. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Some things you can do to help shape the future of Confluence. 3 things. Yes, I can count. Unfortunately, you can't do the first thing anymore because you all signed up for the Peep Show and we've sold out of Peep Show spaces. But you can come and see me. I've got a copy of the editor on my laptop, and I can love to spend some time with you showing the new editor there. You can try the Confluence 3.3 beta, as we announced. It's available in beta today. You can get that on the Early Access Program link from the Confluence downloads page. Sign up to the User Task Force. Now, some of you might not know what the User Task Force is. Just a group of users that we ask to fill out surveys, gather feedback, do some WebEx sessions with them, and some user testing. So if you'd like to be part of that, the URL is available right there. And keep providing your awesome feedback. We really love your feedback online on our Jira issue tracker, emailing me, Bill, or Matt, customer interviews, and just the User Task Force. We really want to say thank you for that, and please keep it up. It's you guys that have made this product so great. Thanks.
So we're actually a couple minutes early, and after this we have a 15-minute break. What we'll do is take some time to answer your questions. I'm sure you have plenty of questions, and then if folks need to filter out of the room, we certainly understand. We just ask that you fill out a comment card and let us know how we can improve in the future. Questions? I think Brian in the back was first. So the question is, what is the status of customizable dashboards? By that, I assume that you mean something similar to what's inside of Jira. So currently, we're focused on the editor and some of the Jira integration. So looking out the next 2 releases or so, it's not on that roadmap, but it is something that we're interested in hearing more of your use cases around, and certainly want to understand how we can make a case for that. I think this gentleman right here had the next question.
Yeah, I have 2 questions related to the embedding of the Confluence pages into Jira.
Okay.
Can you embed only into the Jira dashboard, or can you embed directly into Jira tickets?
You can only embed it into the Jira dashboard at the moment.
And just to elaborate on that answer, the question was, can you embed Confluence pages only in Jira dashboards or also in Jira tickets? And the gadget is an open social gadget, so any container that supports open social gadgets will allow you to kind of host that page. So right now in Jira, the dashboard is the only open social kind of part of that, but maybe in the future, individual issues will support gadgets as well.
So the other interesting use case for that is some of you have told us you have multiple Confluence instances and you want to share pages between them. That works as well. So you can share pages between the Confluence instance using the page gadget.
Yep.
You had a second question, sorry?
It's just around the embedded pages. What happens when a user has permission to the Jira dashboard or not permission to the Confluence pages?
So the question was around the page permissions when you embed a page into a Confluence page into a Jira dashboard. It inherits the Confluence page permissions. So it'll say you don't have access to view this page.
With the new editor, will you actually do the width adjustment when actually the browser is actually suppressed or made full length, full width? Will you manage the editor's size when actually the web browser is actually?
Yeah. Yes, that's right. Yep, it will. So it resizes nicely with the browser size. Is that answer your question?
Yeah.
What if the new editor breaks pages I've built already? I mean, can I still get to the wiki markup I wrote 3 months
So the question here is about the new editor possibly breaking the old wiki pages. So we're spending a lot of time testing tons and tons of page content with the new editor. We will be launching a super extended alpha and beta for this editor to gather your feedback and to do that. There will be a fallback mechanism, and you'll be able to manipulate content in the back via the UI still, via a source mode.
What session are you talking about?
I think we might talk about, tomorrow we're going to talk about the full life cycle in the general session, the software development life cycle, and we'll talk about how all the products fit together to support that. Pardon, Mike? Oh, Dave, yeah, or you can talk to Dave O'Flynn, and I can introduce you to him directly. He'll be at the Atlas bar, I think, or the fireside chat tomorrow.
Yeah, that's been, we've been having a lot of fun with sections and columns in the new editor. So the question is, what about displaying section and columns in the new editor? So we have a long-term plan for that, and we essentially want to allow you to do simple page layouts in the Confluence page. So being able to say, I want a 3-column, 2-column, 1-column layout, like just a standard layout by itself. We are working on that, and you'll be able to do that in the new editor.
This gentleman right here has a question.
Will the drag and drop image resizing allow for custom dimensions or just the user resizing?
So the question was about the image resizing capability. Will we allow the user to do custom dimensions? At the moment, with Confluence functionality, you can hold the borders of the image and resize it manually. They're hard preset dimensions at the moment, but that sounds like a pretty cool feature request to me to allow you guys to do that. So we could take that on board.
What's the status of search between Jira and Confluence?
Status for...
Search between Jira and Confluence on the federated search.
Okay, so the question there was the search between Jira and Confluence. What's the status for that? Being quite honest with you, it's not currently in the midterm roadmap. It is something we want to solve in our medium to long-term roadmap. We have spiked a few different solutions for that, but it requires a lot of work. The challenge there is managing your permissions across both applications. And it is inherently quite complex because you both have different sets of users, different sets of groups, and mapping the two together is quite tough. But it is in our long-term plans to address at some stage. We'd love your feedback on that stuff as well.
Yeah, and we have a whole integration team that's dedicated toward linking and activity streams and common search amongst the applications. And the first part of that we're going to bite off is linking. And so the others will come after that. And Dave O'Flynn is our product manager for that, so he's the same gentleman that's working on linking as well. So he has, if you want to talk to anyone at Atlassian has the most depth of knowledge in that, it's Dave O'Flynn.
Gentleman at the back.
I actually have 2 questions. Can you hear me?
Yes.
The first one has to do, do you guys have any on the roadmap, any of the IM tools to be integrated into the Jira or Confluence or combination of both? And the second question is, for the editor, are you guys planning to give functionality for real-time collaboration editing at the same time for multiple people to collaborate on documents together?
Yep, so the question was twofold. The first question was around being able to incorporate instant messaging in Confluence. Do we have that on the roadmap? So the answer to that is no, it's not on the immediate roadmap. We haven't had too many requests for that, but I'd love to hear your feedback on that. We do have, however, solutions like Jira Studio, which incorporates your existing Google Apps applications. So if you are a Google Apps customer, you use chat, you can have chat across Confluence, Jira, Crucible, Fisheye, and Bamboo. But yeah, I'd love to hear some more on that. And the second question was, I can't remember, I talked too much.
Yeah. Well, and also on the real-time editing, what we find is for customers that are running Confluence behind the firewall, real-time editing typically takes an XMPP server, so it requires that chat server. So it's kind of a heavyweight architecture that you need in order to support that. And we've added support for that in Jira Studio with Google Apps integration. So most of that, to the extent we move in that area, will be handled more on the hosted side of things, just given the immense infrastructure that it takes to support real-time editing.
Yes.
Why you choose to limit the inheritance of
So the question there is why are page restrictions inheritance only for view page? For editing pages. So at the moment you can specify editing page permissions, but at a space level, not at a page level, which is what you're referring to, yeah. Why that's the case, we just haven't had a lot of requests for it, but I think there is an issue.
There's a good reason for that, and I can't remember that off the top of my head. Michael's chomping at the
here you
bit
go.
right here.
That's exactly that what we need.
Oh, that's what you
okay.
need.
We start with closed spaces in our enterprise, and people got more and more way off that there might be some pages interested for others as well. And then it's a whole bunch of work to go through all that administration of spaces to allow a single page to be displayed publicly. So that will be a nice feature for your next rich text editor. Just to say, well, this page now is available for everyone. Or not. That would help already.
Yeah, that's really good feedback.
Without having all the other pages behind that specific page being displayed automatically public as well.
Yeah, that's. I'd love to have a chat to you after about that. That sounds pretty cool. Do we have more time?
Yeah, we have a whole break.
Oh, cool. Yes.
One more question. Since you guys already have some experience with TLM authentication, do you guys have any plans of integrating with the Exchange Web Services to pull things like tasks out of the Exchange or emails or so the Confluence could become
Yep.
essentially a single point of entry for staff? That would be great. They live in their email
Yep.
anyway, so that will force people that same for notes.
So you're referring to, sorry, I might be getting confused. You're referring to extending the user profile to use the your Active Directory domain details? Okay, yeah. We have had, there is a feature request for that. We have had a few requests for that. It's not in our short-term roadmap, but it's something that we consider valuable and want to put that in at some stage. But it is, yeah, a lot of organizations trying to use Confluence for their corporate directory as well. So.
Because it's maintained, you maintaining the Active Directory or
Yeah.
twice.
Yeah.
Instead of doing that, it would be great if you have access to your contacts from the Active Directory.
Yep.
Cool. Great.
Is there any plans to kind of improve the way that we can theme our widgets? Because I mean, there's a couple of plugins and stuff, and it seems like in order to be able to really theme the way you want it, you have to kind of build your own plugin rather than managing some HTML.
We have a session. We actually have a session tomorrow, a lightning talk where the guy who built the documentation theme, Jens Schumacher, is going to talk about how he did that and tips for building your own theme. If you have ways that we can make that process better, we'd like to hear it. There is the Theme Builder plugin, which I'm sure you're familiar with, that kind of makes gives you a little more control in building themes. And then we also have some folks that build out-of-the-box themes that can kind of help customize that as well, like Zen and Refined Wiki. But to the extent we can make theming easier, we certainly want to hear how we can do that.
I mean, it just seems like a pretty
Yeah. So it's pretty tough for us. One of the engineers in the Confluence team did look at simplifying Confluence theming so that if you know HTML, you'll be able to theme Confluence. Unfortunately, because of the inherent complexity, there's a lot of things you need to factor in, like permissions, what sections people can see, whatever. But we have touched that, and it's something that kind of we hear a lot of feedback for, so it's something I'd like to put in at some stage.
You can do CSS.
Yeah, you've also got the space CSS styles, which you can customize. I don't know if you've seen that. Yep.
but I mean, a little bit
Yeah.
more of the structure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, colors and whatever.
So improvement in the LDAP connector or the LDAP plugin is going to be sorted out in version 3.3. While doing that, are you also going to address the TLM plugin? Because it's not supported at the moment by default, unless you use the SharePoint connector, then actually it comes with that. But are there any plans to sort out the TLM or other single sign-on solutions while sorting out LDAP?
I think, yeah, just
So I can talk to you about that offline, but so the new LDAP work we're doing in Confluence in the next major version will enhance that a lot. I think I'll speak to you offline, but I think that'll allow you to do NTLM straight up. Don't quote me on that, but I'll just grab your details and I'll get back to you on that. But yeah, we have had a few requests for that, the NTLM authenticator.
Yeah. Great. Well, thanks, guys. I'll enjoy the rest of the break. We're going to be back in 4 minutes.